They wave to their favorite players, and for the players, they could just kind of soak it all in.
Yeah, and hopefully they brought the earplugs, especially for the young ones that are on there as well.
All right, let's take a look at, in case you don't know by now, this thing's going to start at the Garden, and then it's going to wind its way down up past City Hall Plaza, and then it's going to work its way down Tremont Street to past the Boston Common, and then on to Boylston Street, and it will end up at the Heinz Convention Center. So it's a nice parade route, plenty of opportunity for people to line up, and along the route where there, the buildings, people will be hanging on, looking out the windows,
Office
rooftops,
space.
all of that stuff. It'll be pretty crowded all along.
It will indeed. All right, let's go inside the Garden right now, or just outside, I think it may be. As we take a look at the players right now, starting to board those duck boats. The duck boats, of course, synonymous with Boston and championships. There he is. Jason Tatum gave the trophy to Paul Pierce. Or perhaps that's his trophy from when they last won it.
It could be.
I think it's the 08 one, yeah.
Yeah. He's got that, and he's enjoying it. Let's hear what he's saying.
Another championship, man. I'm so happy for them. It's amazing. It's amazing.
What do you remember from your boat ride?
I don't remember.
Thank you.
That's probably a response from a lot of guys on that team, and some of the players today may not remember it either. But we talked about there being a boat, a duck boat with some of the Celtics players and legends on there, and Paul Pierce will be among that group. We've learned that right now.
Yes. All right, let's see if we can check in now with Sports Director Butch Stearns, who's down there. And Butch, you've been covering this team for so many years, all throughout this playoff run that was fabulous in terms of the way it finished. We'll forget that one game where they dropped by 40. But other than that, this has been a banner year, obviously, for the Celtics, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely, Ock, it's been a banner year, and you were right about Paul Pierce. That's the 08 trophy, because from being inside, they have two trophies out there today. The newest one they won and the 08 one. But let me set the scene for you, because as Boston fans, this is old hat, but it hasn't happened for 5 or 6 years. We know about parades. Like you said, Gene, we know people are hanging out the windows. They're right behind our videographer, Bob Murdoch. Bob Goodale, our other videographer, was showing you the guys getting on the boats right now. But Bobby, if you can, pan to the left. And this is kind of cool to me, because most of the parades start at the Heinz or start on the Marathon route, because it's the Red Sox and the Patriots. But the Bruins and the Celtics are starting here. And just look at this sea of people down on Causeway Street at the Garden. Every single inch is covered, waiting. And by the way, nobody better be up to some shenanigans today, because Bobby, I don't know if you can shoot down here and see the squad, the police squad, the SWAT unit, State Police CERT, S-C-R-T. You think you're going to cause some havoc today, you are going to have some issues. Let me tell you that. They are going to stop at the Heinz, but nobody on those duck boats is getting off, guys. I was talking to Rich Gotham. They planned this with the city. Security is the #1 issue, obviously, today. And nobody is getting off at the Heinz. Those boats are going to stop there, and then they're coming right back to the Garden. Let's hear Mike Gorman now, the legendary Mike Gorman talking.
I don't know if the city can handle that. But I would tell them again, what they're trying to do now, and they keep saying it, they just want to enjoy the moment, and they want the moment to last as long as it can. And that would be my advice to them now, is just sit back and let it wash over you. Don't try to rush through it.
Go have fun.
All right, you bet.
So that was Mike. That was Mike Gorman. I was talking to him. I tell you a quick funny story about him. When he retired, had that great moment at the beginning of the playoffs. He was done, and the next game that he was here, he was dressed and he had a press pass. And I go, "Where are you sitting?" And he says, "I have no idea. I've sat courtside my whole life. I don't know where I'm sitting." Well, there was every game. He had no idea where he was sitting. I said to him today, "Are you on a duck boat?" He goes, "I've been told." I said, "Which one?" He goes, "I have no idea." So Mike's just along for the ride, literally, and having a great time. It's a mad scene down here, well organized, well orchestrated mad scene, but this is really cool to see this down at the Garden, guys.
Butch, so we were talking earlier about the Celtics after they win the championship. They go down to Miami and have a little celebration party down there and then fly back. Do you have any insight as to what was behind that, what the reason was, why that particular location, what may have happened there?
It was all the owners, and that's what I found out this morning. They had that trip planned no matter what. I talked to somebody who's worked for the Celtics for over 30 years. I'm not going to say who it was, but I said, did you go to Miami? He said, no, there was a lottery. I don't think there was a lottery for the players, but there was a lottery for all the other people that might go. So it was an exclusive group that went. For example, Al Horford decided not to go because he had so many family in town, so he stayed here in Boston. What I've been saying this week is it was a Red Auerbach move because they decided to party. Whether they planned this or not, it was a byproduct of it, okay? Red would have done that. They've played Miami 4 of the 5 times in the last 5 years in the playoffs, and they're going down there to party the minute they won a championship right in the backyard of their arch rival Miami Heat. And by the way, Jason Tatum, I don't know if we had it on the air, they asked him about how tough it was to win in Miami. He goes, it's easy to win there. Taking a shot at the Heat while he was at the podium. Love it. That's Red Auerbach. Red is here today because of things like that.
Well, of course, remember the Red Auerbach famous for what? Having the broken air conditioning in the visitors' locker room when they played
cold
the Lakers
water in the
and everyone
showers.
else. Yeah.
And the only guy in the garden, there was no smoking in the garden except for Red.
When
he was
lit
allowed
up his
to, he was allowed to light it up. That's right. That's right. But he's a guy who really got this whole thing going way back when, and had the Celtics championship teams. He was a coach, and then he gave way. Bill Russell became player coach, won. Can you imagine that being a player? I mean, it's hard to imagine. And he played. It wasn't like he played 3 minutes a game. I mean, he was an
integral part.
Yes, he was an integral part of that team, and he played a lot of minutes every game. And then he was coaching from the sideline, or coaching in the game, or deciding who to substitute. It's hard for us to imagine what that would be like. We just don't see anything like that today, and I can't imagine it ever happening again. Although it would be fun if someone would want to tackle both of those responsibilities. But it was just a different era, and of course, not many players could do something like that. But Bill Russell was one of them.
You know, the other thing about it was just the way the players were selected. The players were put in to succeed, positions to succeed. You see this with any of these successful teams. You see it in the business world, you know, getting the right people and knowing how to put those pieces to the puzzle. You talk about Danny Ainge, you talk about Brad Stevens and how they did that, how they were patient with especially Tatum and Brown, young players with incredible talent and skill. Could they mesh together? It happened this year. It finally did.
So this is a little bit of a logistical process, getting everybody loaded up on the duck boats as well. So the parade's supposed to start at 11. We're at about 10 minutes past the hour right now, and we're still waiting for them to get out there. But fans are patient. They're waiting. They've been out there all morning. So it's really been, just worth the wait. So they'll be patient, but they'll be rolling out there pretty soon.
And this is a new location. You know, if you think about it, it's been a while. It's been 16 years since they came out here for the Celtics. But of course, the Bruins, they were in 2011 as well. So they are familiar down on Causeway Street. And it's not the old Causeway. We had the overhang. Remember that with the train going across the top? So you've got a wide open space down there to get them on the duck boats and let people have a great vantage point. Let's go over to Suffolk University now. Joanna Burris has been there for us all morning. You got your green on, and the people behind you do as well.
We all have our green on, and are they patient? Fans are very rowdy. They're excited. I think they're anxious. They want to see their favorite players coming down Tremont Street here at Suffolk University. I was going to go out into this crowd, but I am a little bit short. I think the kiddos that are on their parents' shoulders, they have the best seat in the house. We've got some fans right here with us. Cheer for us. People are excited, but just look at how packed this is. There's barely. You're from New Jersey?
What up? We came to celebrate.
Look at, we are shoulder to shoulder. There's barely any wiggle room. It's just a sea of green. We have fans. Everyone's really excited. Fans started gathering here hours ago. We see them. It's a little bit humid. People are sweaty, but they tell me they wouldn't want to be anywhere else. These are die-hard Boston fans. They've been looking forward to this day all week, and they are just happy to celebrate. You can just feel the camaraderie. There are people of all ages, from super young to a little bit older. I saw one woman. She was 90 years old. She had on a bright green tutu. Everyone is just here. They're excited to see some duck boats, and the weather could not be better. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Joanna Boris here at Suffolk University, and we thank the folks at Suffolk for hooking us up with a really nice broadcast location. You can see they've got a lot of police on hand here. Boston Police, State Police, surrounding towns also helping out today. It's kind of the all hands on deck thing when you have an event of this magnitude in the city. So security is tight. but fans are going to be able to get an opportunity to cheer on their team, and this is what it's all about for everybody. The championship parade, they're guessing, I don't know who the estimator is, the guy who, or man or woman who counts how many people are actually on the parade route, but a million
at
is,
MIT right now.
Yeah, right. A million is, they've got some sort of formula where they put together, but a million people is the estimate at this point, and it certainly looks like it's at least that from where we've been watching from, and we're still waiting for the duck butts to pull out onto Causeway Street and get the rolling rally started. But it is a bit of a situation where you want to make sure everybody gets on.
Right here.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Let's talk about Joe Mazzulla for a second, Gene, because I remember when I was actually in Milwaukee visiting my daughter, and they said, Mayor Doka is out, Joe Mazzulla is in. First I had to dive into Joe Mazzulla. I knew he was an assistant. What was his background? Played at West Virginia, Bishop Hendricken High School down in Rhode Island. But no experience above the Division II level, and now coming to the world champion, at this point 17 times Boston Celtics, the most historic franchise in all of basketball, and he's done the job in 2 short years.
Yeah, he has, and he's kind of grown in the position. There were some coaching decisions, his ability or lack thereof to call timeouts, getting a feel for the game, and it had to be a little overwhelming for him at first. They did bring in a lot of assistants for him this year, guys with experience.
Sam Cassell was one.
Sam Cassell, Van Gundy was there. They had several coaches with experience come in and help him out. So no doubt he leaned on them from time to time. But at the end of the day, he's the head coach. He got the job done, and he's carrying that trophy all over the place.
And that's what we talked about with Brett Auerbach, being able to put players together. Well, as a coach, you have to be able to do that as well, and he certainly did that with Tatum and Brown. And that's not easy. You're talking about 2 polarizing figures on a basketball
team. A lot
of
egos in the NBA these days, and it's kind of managing those. That's the most important part of the job. We got our, as we look at Al Horford there, we got Ray Vieta, who's down in Copley Square for us. He's been there all morning. And Ray, I know you're patiently waiting. Are fans there getting a little antsy at all, or is everybody all right?
Yeah, I would say a little antsy is probably the best adjective I would use right about now. It's funny that you mentioned Al Horford. I was going to tell you, actually, that I'm starting to see a few Dominican Republic flags waving in the air here, and I know I spoke with one woman and her daughter who told me they felt a lot of pride in that because he was the first player from the DR to get the title, and I was actually just looking. There were watch parties in the Dominican Republic for Al Horford. Al Horford, by the way, on Boylston Street last night at the Raising Cane's, taking orders, letting people take pictures, of course, signing autographs. So a lot of Dominican pride here as well, along with this sea of green, which I can tell you has only swollen up more so than the last time I saw you folks. These crowds are at least 10 to 15 deep where I'm standing, and I can only imagine it's going to get even more packed in here, guys.
Well, also, Copley Square is a great vantage point. When we see someone right here wearing the flag, Ray, it said. And Ray, just so you're aware, when they come down, you're going to hear a wall of noise as they come down from your left to your right, passing in front of you with the Boston Public Library, where it opens up into that expanse where you can really put a lot of people. It goes from 15 deep to like 45 or 50 deep when it spreads out onto the steps of the Boston Public Library down there, and that wall of sound, and all those players and the fans, they'll just go nuts. It's a fantastic sight. It's one of the, I think, best vantage points along the route.
Yeah, that's a good spot. If you were someone saying, hey, where should we go to watch? It's at Copley Square, you can't lose. There's a lot of room to roam there, too, if you're by the library. And you can get a good vantage point there. And like I said, you can see a lot of things happening, and you'll hear the sound coming. And usually when the parade's going the other direction, if it's the Red Sox or it's the Patriots, they start up at Fenway and work their way down. The parade goes by, and you can skedaddle before the rest of the parade watchers do. You get a little easier escape.
What's also interesting is watching people, if you're looking straight across when the parade route comes by that location, you'll see people running from block to block trying to keep up with it. Come up to the front, take a good look. No, they want to keep going down and watch it, and then they dart back in at another
start
route.
at the beginning and then hustle down and try to catch them again.
Look at some of the spots here, though. I mean, look at this.
And you get folks on the roof there,
And we also saw security on the rooftop as well. As you can imagine, from top to bottom, they've got this staked out, ready for any possible events that may happen. And fortunately, we can look at the past as far as parades are concerned. They've done a great job in that, and certainly we want to make sure that happens today. So they've got everybody called in today. And as you said, a lot of cities and towns providing some relief as well.
So it looks like they're almost ready to get this thing rolling. I want to go back to Ray Vieta for a second. Ray, I know this is your first Rolling Rally Championship parade you've covered, but Ak and I could tell you the one for the Red Sox back in 2004 when they finally reversed the curse. They actually took them out into the Charles River. You remember that?
In the rain, pouring rain, yes.
There were fans. Somebody threw
they're amphibious,
from the Longfellow or something. They threw a baseball and beat Pedro, and I mean the whole thing was bedlam. But it was just remarkable to see them actually out on the river. I mean, that's what the duck boats do, so
exactly.
Not a surprise. But I think cooler heads sort of prevailed there, and it's like, maybe we'll hold off on that on future parades.
We talk about the duck boats.
Go ahead, Ray.
Go ahead, Ray.
I was going to say, I love that Gene left a zip trip. On his drive over, had about an hour to think about all this history, and he just laid it down on the desk for all of us to listen to, and it's still going. Gene, I was going to tell you my perspective. It's pretty electric. I've never, as you mentioned, I've never been to one of these parades before. Well, I mean, in other cities I've lived in, but not in Boston. And to tell you that you're hearing all these different perspectives about just how much this team means to them, why they came out here. Of course, we know Boston Public Schools closed, and this was one of the reasons why. But take a look at the confetti taking over. So I'll let you guys take over from here.
You can see the confetti truck out and about, and they've got the bands on these trucks oftentimes on the flatbeds to get the crowd riled up. You see the dance team cheerleaders, I think, next here for the Boston Celtics, your world champions. There you go.
All right, well, okay, I think we can say we're underway. We are underway, people.
Yes, we
All
are.
right, here we go. And by the way, that flow brought to you by Vistaprint. We print champions.
Yes.
That was the other thing, though. You need these sponsors to help defray the cost of the rolling rally. There are expenses here. The duck boats. The other cool thing about the duck boats, too, is there anybody under 6'2" on the team? So they can't, the normal duck boat, you can't sit in the thing or stand in it. They had to take the roof off and create some room for these guys.
All right, so there you have the cowboy hat right there. That's Al Horford speeding along. And I think they have this in a second gear today. I'm just saying right off the bat. As you take a look at your world champions, NBA champs, 18th time. It's a record. One more than the Lakers. We can't say that enough.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the beauty of this championship, I think, for a lot of Celtics fans. Is the Lakers got their most recent one during the bubble of the COVID, and that tied them. So the Celtics have now pulled back in. Let's check in with Butch because he's right down there where the action is, Butch.
All right, guys, obviously this has started now, a little late, but it started. That's the boat, if you could see it, that Al Horford is on. That's the first player boat. I thought Ray made a great point about the Dominican population because we all know when Pedro and Manny came here in the late 1990s, that the Dominican population in Boston boomed, and a lot of those people are still here, and he is a hero to them. Coming by next will be Drew Holiday on the duck boat called Liberty Teresa, the greenish one. You see the orange one there? That's family and friends. Bobby, if you pan to your right to that green boat, once it comes by, that's Drew Holiday and his family. A lot of Drew Holiday is the only player on that boat. That's his family. That's his entire family on that boat. A lot of these guys have their own boats. Here comes the trophy now. Brian Scalabrini's on there, trying to see if there are any other players, but Leon Poe, assistant coach, you'll see it in a second. Another green boat. They're holding the trophy up. Bobby, I don't know if you can see the trophy. See the trophy right there? And I'll tell you right now, it is deafening down here. These fans have waited all morning for this, and they are going to enjoy it. By the way, there's multiple trucks shooting confetti. Love it. Multiple trucks shooting confetti. It is awesome.
Butch, we see Jason Tatum in that green boat you talked about, and he's holding that trophy. I'll tell you, he is.
The trophy.
It's something he doesn't let go of very often.
Multiplied, guys. I think every boat might have a trophy.
Well, they got 18 of them. They can put one in 18 boats. We know that. Had Jason Tatum there, and they've got the banners, the smaller banners. It will be come October when the banner actually is raised to the rafters of the garden. When you get the real one, that's obviously a huge banner. But they made some smaller ones that they're taking with them on the boats. They got the championship flags, so it's going to be a chance to see each player almost individually. I'm sure there will be a group of players on some of these things, but the big name guys, it looks like they're getting their own ride.
Jaylen Brown, your MVP, playoffs, 2 times over, pumping that up to the sky. Jaylen Brown, I'll tell you what, one of those guys who's just got a rich history outside of basketball in terms of his schooling and everything else. Cal Berkeley, also went to Harvard for a time, also MIT, and there's Joe Mazzulla, the head coach. Of course, just his second year. Joe Mazzulla waving to the fans. And I'll tell you what, a lot of critics who had to say, you know what, in the end, he got this team to win and win big.
Yeah.
Win it all.
Al Horford in the cowboy hat there behind him, arms raised. This is something, you know, you heard Mike Gorman's advice to the players, just let it wash over you, take it all in, enjoy it. I think Al Horford is, he's older than his head coach by some 3 years, so he's been waiting for this moment all his life. There he is taking it in and saying, you know, thank you to the fans. He appreciates it. They appreciate him, a true professional, class athlete, the type of player you'd like to have in your city.
Yeah, absolutely. And Derek White, they're holding one of his children. He's in the front of that boat right there, as you can see, and had his tooth, I guess, repurposed, if you will. I don't know if you know, super glue comes in or not. And there's Kristaps Porzingis. And boy, what a game two he had.
What WWE title did he win there?
I think he stole that from Kevin Lemanowitz's office.
Oh, there we go. All right. Not a bad idea. You can tell people that you took a pass from Kristaps Porzingis during the parade.
It's fantastic.
But again, we got an aerial look there of Jason Tatum, and it's the confetti. I would not want to be on the cleanup committee after this parade, but it'll be. Maybe fans will help because they want a souvenir so they can help clean up along the way.
You know, there have been so many images on Instagram, and it's, you can document these things, you know, when you think about it now, almost instantly.
Yeah,
but I'll tell you, the confetti, I've been to several of the Super Bowls, as you have as well, and all the different championships, and they blow that confetti. But I got to say, it was epic in the Garden that night. It was like a snowstorm blizzard of it. We've got a bag, one of our photographers got a whole garbage bag, brought it back here to the station if people wanted them. Some people like to put them in ornaments and remember them.
Drew Holiday there and taking it in. He's the only Celtic who has a championship ring, won it, as we talked about earlier, with Milwaukee. Right. Let's check back in again with Butch Stearns along the parade route. Butch?
He probably can't hear you.
Yeah, he probably can't hear us.
I believe he described it as deafening.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, there you go. There you go. We're looking at Paul Pierce embracing the NBA trophy. He said he didn't remember this last time. He remembered nothing from the parade in 08.
Right. You know what's so cool about this too? Every fourth or fifth vehicle is a truck right here, Bobby, if you could shoot that truck, shooting confetti in this whole thing. I mean, all the iconic pictures of the Boston Bruins in the 70s going by downtown. The confetti doesn't just happen, guys. There's people shooting the confetti. We take it for granted, but the fans love this stuff.
I don't think they were cut by hand either, because that's a lot of confetti. You know, it's not one of your third grade projects.
Trying to punish someone.
You're right. Find a nice.
Give me 1,000 of these by noon.
Right. Find a big shredder and shred as much white and green sort of tissue paper as you can.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Go ahead.
Okay, one of the things, I made this point the other night on the floor right after they won, is that we always watch these videos years from now. We always see these scenes. But the first thing that sticks in my mind is this is happening right now. We're in the middle of this right now. So when you watch this video, if you're watching us at home, remember where you were in this moment. Remember that? Oh yeah, I was at so-and-so's house. I was at my favorite bar. I was downtown at the parade. Is that me in the crowd? This moment is going on right now, and there's nothing better than that.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up. I do remember 2008 being on Tremont Street for the Celtics. It's hard when you get into the multiple ones, though, like, you know, which Patriots were.
I was there somewhere. I know. Look at Jaylen Brown, and that's Steve Paliuca, who's also one of the part of the Celtics ownership group on that. So he was taking the right angle of the sun, shining off the MVP trophy, the Bill Russell trophy, and why not? He's earned it. He played great. He's a key part, obviously, of the Celtics team. Then, if they can find a way to keep this team together, which I think they will, we could set your calendar for next year and the year after that, because it's potential that we can do that again. Yeah, Butchie.
I can't confirm or deny this, but I believe you and I were actually on the trains in 1918 when they celebrated. Didn't we ride the trains back then?
I don't remember riding the train. I remember riding a one of those bicycles with a really huge front wheel.
Front wheel, yeah. I had one of those too.
Yeah, well, what I remember about then was that you were like Paul Pierce. You don't remember anything.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean, we're all of a certain age here. I think I remember the Bruins vaguely, the first one.
Yep.
The second one for sure. And then after that, they were all vivid memories of the championships because those were in our wheelhouse years as kids.
Absolutely.
And you don't forget that stuff.
I remember lining up.
Well, I got to tell you a quick funny.
Go ahead, Butch.
I got to tell you a quick funny story. You talked about the Bruins in 70 and 72, and I was talking to my friend Francis O'Brien, who's been with the Celtics for 40 years, and I was asking him for his favorite parade stories, and he talked about the 70s Celtics, which are forgotten championships, with Tommy Heinsohn and Dave Cowens and John Havlicek. He said that they were walking, and they were walking down on the Common, and Cowens decided to go sit on a park bench, and he was just sitting with people, and all of a sudden hundreds of people just came up and sat next to him, and he was hanging out, sitting on a park bench in downtown in Boston. It was unbelievable.
Remember when Cowens for a stretch also decided to drive a cab?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I asked him that. Did he drive a cab? He goes, not that day.
I remember interviewing Cowens for a radio show in New Hampshire. He was at a camp he was running, and it was raining, and he had the kids in the car as we're trying to do the radio. He goes, hey, you guys, quiet down back there, all right? I'm on radio here.
Hey guys, by the way, just to give you a matter of perspective, the last boat has gone by. So here at the Garden. So they're probably making the turn. I can't see up Stanford Street, but they're probably getting up by the State House now, right? But the last bus has left here. There is, this is interesting, there's a police wagon behind the last bus. There is a John Deere golf cart. Then there's a tow truck. And then there's like luxury vehicles. So I'm not sure what they're prepared for, but it looks like they're prepared for everything.
Well, you remember before the duck boats, back in the old days, like when Orr and the Bruins won their championships, they were in convertibles.
Yeah.
You remember that?
I do.
And they'd be 2 in the front, 3 across the back.
It was crazy, and people were running right up to them and shaking their hands and all that. And then they had the gathering spot then was City Hall Plaza. That was a spot where everybody would go after the parades for the championship, and they'd be up in some of the offices and speaking to the crowd below. We talked about Bird and Moses Malone after the '81 championship. We talked about Moses, something he should add to his diet. We're not going to get into that. But that became a pretty famous quote, and one of the things that the players that we remember from that championship besides those players. But this Celtics team dominant so much this year. I'm not going to make them say, hey, they were better than the '86 team, because I think the NBA was much stronger across the board then, and it was more of a challenge to win it that year. And I'm not taking anything away from the Celtics championship this year, but the league's different. It's all different, but that should not take anything away from the dominant way. They went out. The reason they remind me of the '86 team, every time they went on the floor, they wanted to beat you and beat you badly.
Yes.
And have you remember the night you played the Boston Celtics.
And that was the Celtics. I mean, this year, when they were all in and all on that night, you couldn't go near them. And, 20-plus victories were the order of the day. 61 regular season wins this year. They started 20-0 at home.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that for a minute. That's a pretty good start, right?
It's now 11:30, and you're watching Boston 25 Morning News as we continue our live coverage of the Celtics Championship Parade. You see Celtics owner Rick Rousebeck there with that championship banner 18, and they have it now. And there was a story about Wick. I'm not sure if you talked to someone from the Globe, but he was saying, that as ownership group, they kind of lose money here. They don't own the building.
Own the building.
But he said they didn't care. They don't care. They get paid in championships and they get paid in parades. And that's what we're seeing now, the second championship for this ownership group. And with the team they built and their executive of the year, Brad Stevens, and the moves he made, getting Drew Holiday, bringing in Porzingis, really just remarkable, brilliant moves. And that's why he's so widely respected. Terrific coach. He never won it as a coach, but clearly his fingerprints. And you got to give Danny Ainge credit, too, because he drafted both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and helped build this team and got these guys together. And then Brad Stevens took it from there. And Joe Mazzulla is the head coach.
Well, Joe Mazzulla, it's interesting. You feel for him a bit. This is one of the happiest days of his life, and his father passed away at 61 years old from brain cancer. His father was a coach. He also played at Bryant College, coach in Johnston, Rhode Island, and at the high school down there, and apparently made a pilgrimage out to his grave and made sure that they let him know that In fact, his son is at the top of the NBA right now when it comes to the coaches.
New England kids, for sure.
Winning the championship and bringing it to Boston. Amazing. Kristaps Porzingis right here. As you take a look, and Joanna Burris is along the parade route for us. She's down at Suffolk University, and they're coming your way if they're not there already.
That's right, they are on their way. We just saw a few police cruisers come through, and now the confetti. You can hear the crowd getting excited. That means they are making their way over. I'm not sure if you can see, but there's white and green confetti that is starting to make its way over here. Just take a look at this crowd. Are people watching, or are they trying to catch it on their cell phones? I think it's both. We have some police on motorcycles coming through, and the crowd is going absolutely wild. We see beach balls that they're passing back and forth across the parade route. We see kids sitting on parents' shoulders. They probably have the best seat in the house because we short people, we really can't see much. There's someone that is currently standing on top of a stop sign. I'm sure they're going to tell him to take a seat in about a minute, but it's wild out here. You can just feel the electric excitement in the air. Everyone is just so excited, and this confetti cannon, I'm so excited for you guys to see it because it looks like such a good time.
All right, Joanna, thank you. As we take a look at Paul Pierce right here, he's got the 2008 trophy well in hand. We've seen Jason Tatum holding the current edition as well. You get some great shots. It's interesting when you're out on the parade route covering it, as we have from different points of view, you get to see certain things at certain times.
Right.
You sometimes miss some of these pictures, but the images today have been fantastic.
And
Feel like they're almost right above them.
And the thing, too, that you watch it at home on television, you probably can't really get a feel for it, is that players they're making eye contact with people. I mean, and if you're there along the parade route, you get a chance for this. They're going to look at you. They're going to see you. And you get that sort of moment where you can interact with a player, and it's a little moment that you'll cherish. It's hard to get that perspective when you're watching on TV, but when you are there and you're in the crowd, no matter how far deep you are, you do get the sense that the players they're actually taking the time to look and point to everybody and wave and say, hey, thank you, and we appreciate it, and we're glad we could bring you this title.
And we've been watching Al Horford come through, and you're easy to recognize because he has a cowboy hat on. It's a white one at that, and you can see him along the route here, and we'll show you this. But yesterday when he got out, he actually was at that restaurant and was serving up the food. And then he went outside. It reminded me of campaign stops the politicians have, and suddenly everyone's outside. He had a throng of people around him. I couldn't believe how quickly it assembled. Kind of like Joe Mazzulla walking through the North End the other night, trophy in hand, and popping in and out of Carmelina's over to Streg. Up and down.
He made the rounds. Yeah. Let's check back in with Joanna down there at Suffolk University. All right, so obviously, listen, one thing we can... Here we go.
I can't hear anything, so if you guys are talking to us, we just had our first group of people come by. I can't even hear myself talking, so I apologize if I'm doing, but look at the confetti in the air. People are dancing and dancing, so it's absolutely wild. What do you want to
Kind of hard to hear Joanna there, but the other thing we know from being in that crowd before is that you can't hear anything.
No.
You can't hear yourself talk. It gets so loud. And so when you're trying to do some reporting, you don't even know if what you're saying is being heard over the crowd. But that's a beautiful shot there. So.
All right, and there's Jason Tatum once again. Don't stop disbelieving. Full page ad in today's Globe. He said, they said this, they said that, they said this, they said that. And then he said, don't stop disbelieving.
And a billboard in New York, too, along those lines. So.
How about Miami? Did we have one in Miami? That's my big question.
It never hurts to rub it in. To the champion goes the spoils. Isn't that what they say? And that certainly applies with the Celtics in this title. And we're used to this in Boston. This is Joe Mazzulla again, as he's really excited in the crowd here.
He's the captain of the Dark Boat.
Yeah. I think he really won over fans. There was some skepticism about his coaching ability. Was it too soon for him? Was he over his head? Those discussions started last year, carried over into this year. Now that he's won the championship, he's, as you mentioned, silenced a lot of the critics. And the fact he took the trophy around with him and he was popping into the North End and letting people,
that was endearing.
Yes, it was. He was a man of the
E.
people, and I think that certainly helped him build his image and get more respect from Celtics fans. Look at that shot. I mean, look at the crowd. It's just remarkable how many people have come out there today. Not a lot of people working today on this Friday.
No, and the schools, of course, the kids in school loved it because they all got out. Boston Public Schools, there was going to be 4 schools that were really going to be impacted today, and they finally just said, you know what, that's it, we're done.
We'll pack it
You're
in.
on to the next grade, kids. We got a Celtics parade. You can go attend and watch and remember for the rest of your life. So they get jammed up a little bit along the way, which is perfect for the people who are actually watching at that particular location. The others are still waiting. Some people have seen them go, and they're gone now. So you want to just be able to dip in like we're taking you on right now. This is a way to see it and see it over and over again and see the different points. Because the people, I think, different parts of this route, it can swell to 50 deep. Other parts, it may drop to 40 deep. But you can imagine just being there and businesses along the way. Everybody just says, you know what?
Bars are
tip
probably
your
doing all
cap.
right today.
Oh, yeah. We talked with one bar owner earlier. He said he was getting calls all week. Can I get a table? Can I reserve a spot at the bar? No, not that easy. But if you show up, we'll find something for you.
Hey, Jason and Jaylen Brown putting on a show there, spinning the ball in his face. Oh, he got it back. Oh, no.
Now, that's Steve Paliuca you mentioned in the back in the green shirt right there, one of the principal owners of the team. He is spending time here and over in Italy because his soccer team that he is on and is the owner of won their championship unexpectedly. So it was good karma there. He came back
a good
here.
year.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Very good year. And this is, like you said, Aki, so when it comes to a halt, that really gives fans a chance to show their appreciation. But look how deep they are. This is getting near the Common now, and it's just remarkable. The sea of green, the amount of people who have come out today to just say thank you to this championship team. A sea of gratitude really is what it is. And again, ground level shot here as the duck boats are going by on Suffolk University. That's the guys from the 08 team there showing the championship trophy. They've got their own duck boat here. So it's a second go-round for them after winning it in 08. And that was another memorable, beautiful day for a duck boat parade in Boston.
Yeah, let's talk about Brown and Tatum if we can for a minute, because an interesting article I read earlier this week. They had, in the past, not gotten together over the summers. You play so long into the season, you want to have time away from each other a little bit, and they said that's fine. But it was Brown who picked up the phone, called Tatum, and said, what if we work out together? What if we really start to think about how we can be better together and put this thing over the top? And that's what they did. They worked out together. They got together more so, and they realized, the sum of the parts was better than, together than not, certainly. And now they're reaping the benefit of it.
So that's Derek White's duck boat there. You can see some folks tossing something into the crowd. I don't know, the T-shirts, or if those sometimes beverages are tossed to their aqua.
Or tossed to Gronk. I remember one in particular happening, and he made short order of it, as I recall.
Yes, indeed.
I can't remember if he was wearing a shirt or not at that moment, but I think it was, one of those things.
It's
where
50-50.
Gronk loves a party.
He does, 50-50.
And this is a great place to have one.
So they make their way down to the Common now, and all the folks who have been waiting patiently, especially down toward where Raviette has been in Copley Square, they're excited to finally get their first look at what's going on and get an up-close look at the players. But you talked about Brown and Tatum, young guys still young guys, but very young guys when they came into the league. And I don't know if maybe they just didn't quite work well together. The egos were involved, but as they learned this year, it's amazing what you can accomplish when it doesn't matter who gets the credit. And that's the ultimate team sport. They moved the ball better this year, I thought. They passed the ball around. They shared a little bit more. Nobody had to take the last shot. And I know Marcus Smart was beloved around here, but I think he's a very forceful personality. I think trading him out and then bringing in Drew Holiday and Porzingis, it sort of changed the dynamic of the team a little bit.
No question.
Those guys might have been intimidated by Marcus Smart a little bit. Now with him out of the picture, they were able to be a little bit more forceful, exude their personality, and try to maybe take the team over a little bit in a way where I think with Smart, again, an intimidating presence, good player, hustled, defensive star, everything you want in a player. But I just think personality-wise, there might have been something there that was kind of dragging the team down just a little bit. He moves out. They seem to play a little bit looser, a little bit freer, and then they've got a championship ring.
Yeah, certainly, having him moved in that time, and I think there was 50-50 whether it was a good move or not, but I think people would agree it would go more.
I think now the scale is tipped the other way,
You know what I mean? And I think that was a huge move Brad Stevens made. You know, it's interesting to talk about the Celtics team because they're much like the Red Sox team of '04. If you think about Dan Duquette, brought a lot of those players on board to succeed. Theo Epstein takes the mantle and he runs with it, and they get that World Series. But you have to give both credit in the build-out, much like Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens. And Brad Stevens said, you know, being able to say, hey, you know, as a coach, I didn't have the success I thought I'd have, and perhaps I'm better suited to be in the front office now. I mean, he's a young guy. I mean, he used to have to tell the people when he went into arenas, I'm the coach. I'm not a student. You know, I don't have to pay for a ticket.
But a brilliant basketball mind, obviously very savvy, and did a remarkable job putting this team together. And the success obviously was there pretty much right from the beginning. As a coach, he learned a lot and then learned to deal with the players, and now he moved up as an executive. I think there's speculation, too, that he really wasn't going to stay in that job and maybe wound up going back to coach. Yeah, he was rumored to take over in Indiana. He's an Indiana guy, coached at Butler, but he stayed here and he put a great team together. Now he's got a championship ring and a trophy.
Fantastic. Now, it's interesting because, as you pointed out, this parade is going differently than the other parades we see because it's coming right to left, not left to right.
One ways don't matter here. It's like this, you know, we're going to change the direction of the roads and the streets just for the.
We have to remember where we got to end up. That's all.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
You have a destination point.
But I don't know. They're talking a million people here. We just saw that aerial shot a few minutes ago from Sky 25 above it, and you saw the crowd and how deep it is. And they have the police there shaking hands as well. The security alongside the duck boats. And it's got to be at least a million people, maybe more. But just the crowd has been immense, and they're loud, and they're appreciative, and they're patient.
Yep.
Because they're waiting in certain stretches here along Boylston Street down toward Copley, where they're going to be coming. And they've been out. They have been out there all morning long. Ray Vietta's been out there all morning as well. And he was there, and the crowd started to gather. So some folks claimed their space very early in the morning.
Jason Tatum right here, as you can see. He has got the trophy. Probably hoist it here in a minute. Doesn't want it to fall off, that's for sure. Let's go down to Joanna Burris. Joanna, what are you seeing there? Well, we thought Joanna Burris might be going by, or standing still while they go by. Here we go. Backdrop of Boston right there, and the skyline, and hoisted up into that skyline for just a moment.
Beautiful
the Larry
picture there.
O'Brien trophy.
So we're hearing from Boston EMS. There have been some people reported feeling lightheaded, sort of related to the heat, as you might suspect, been out there for a while. So I don't think there's been any major right now, but it is a concern, and we talked about that with the temperatures prior to the parade. So there's been a little bit of an issue, and there are other people lightheaded when they got to see Jason Tatum holding the trophy. So that may be factoring in as well. So, but a combination of things. But Boston EMS is on it; they're watching it. There was some cooling stations set up too at City Hall Plaza and down along the Common. So hopefully, folks are taking advantage of that, and they're staying hydrated. Not with the alcoholic beverages, because you know those are diuretic, and that'll dry you out. So
exactly right.
You think you're going to quench your thirst with that? It's going to do the opposite for you.
But again, I mean, you know, as long as you're drinking the water and you're making sure you're taking care of yourself, this is a great day in the city of Boston to have a parade. Obviously, there are doubts at the beginning of the week that perhaps some rain or thunderstorms might come through, but the only thing you're hearing now, and not thunder, that's just the roar of the crowd.
You're right. All right.
Once again, Jaylen Brown by the Common here.
Yeah, these guys have to be overwhelmed by this. I think as a player, you're kind of isolated, especially on the road. You get to a city, you go to a hotel, you get on a bus, you go to the arena, and then you get out of there. And here in Boston, they do live here, but I don't think they have the full appreciation of knowing how fans really feel about them. And not just Celtics fans, but Boston sports fans in general, the whole area, all of New England, Greater Boston, New Hampshire, Maine, Vermont. I don't know if Connecticut would claim the Celtics. They used to play games in Hartford years ago at the Hartford Civic Center.
Larry Bird was playing.
Yeah, that was part of their regular routine. So, yeah, we'll call them Celtics fans, too, and obviously Rhode Island. So everybody in the 6-state region is out and supporting this team, and I think the players, if you're not from here, they don't quite understand that. They hear about the tradition. They hear about all the wonderful things about the organization. They hear how fans love this team. And you've got the fans who are in the Garden every night. Luckily, again, tough for everybody to get there, but now anybody who's a Celtic fan can get to see their world champion heroes and come on out here and pay respect to them and say thank you. And I think the players are looking at it going, wow, this really is something. People do love this team and this organization.
Well, of course, throughout the season, you're going to have highs and lows. You're going to have, there weren't too many of those for the Celtics this year, obviously, but there are times where people question this move or that move, or perhaps Mazzulla's coaching style. And they become a little bit guarded. You can see them. You can see Mazzulla. He sticks to what he says, whether you like it or not. He's consistent. But a lot of people, it seemed like they felt he was a little prickly to talk to sometimes. And maybe he needed to have a thicker skin or something to be the coach in Boston Celtics. He got tested. They all got tested, and they all kind of used that as a chip, I think, as well.
Nothing will thicken your skin more than winning an NBA championship, because that stuff will then bounce right off. And I think Mazzulla he's earned a lot more respect from people now. It's like, okay, Joe, show me what you can do. And his team not only won the championship, they just blew doors and won this thing easily. They played great all season, the best team during the regular season, and by far the best team in the postseason, with the exception of Porzingis and then a couple of bumps and bruises along the way during the season. They stayed incredibly healthy. Yeah. And that was a big part of this too.
You know, Porzingis is one of those, they knew when they got him. You know, he's an incredible player in terms of size and what he can bring to the basketball court when healthy, but there was a lot of questions about his health even when they signed him.
See Peyton Pritchard go by. I think if you give him a ball and he found a hoop, he'd launch it from there and he'd hit it. It's like those half-court bombs he hit in the finals.
Be like those old, was it the Jordan commercials, nothing but net?
Yeah, that's it.
He did that. I mean, literally with the half-court shot in the clinching game.
He was beyond half-court.
How did you ever think for a second it wasn't going in? That's what, you know,
I think that was his mindset anyway. I'm going to launch this thing, and it's going to drop. And that was just that. When that went in, you went, all right, this is it. They're not losing this game. They're not losing Game 5 at home. They came out and dominated that game and took control, and there's no way they were going back to Dallas. Not a chance.
You know,
I haven't heard much from Kyrie Irving after that whole thing. Have you?
But what about, I thought when he went over and hugged all the players, that was a nice moment.
Yeah.
I mean, he went before with, remember, last year, went around the garden floor with the incense and everything, and tried to put a curse on us. But other than that,
there was a maturation process there for him, and he had said as much prior to the series when he was doing some interviews that, you know, he wasn't.
He's
in the
a very
right
good interview. I will say that he really is.
But he wasn't in the right frame of mind, and things weren't happening for him, and so it was difficult. But I don't know. He came flat out and said it, but the way he was talking hinted at some regret at how things went down with his departure here.
All right, Gene Lemanchi along with yours truly, Mark Ockerblum. We're here covering the parade for you. Celtics Championship Parade 2024, Banner 18, more than anybody else. You know, it's interesting how prominent the banner is in this. Everybody else talks about the Lombardi Trophy, the Stanley Cup.
The ring.
Not the banners, the rings. But in Boston, it's about the banners.
Well, that goes back to the old Garden.
Yeah, and I was thinking about those banners and Bob Cousy, for instance, 95 years old. He said, I'm breaking down. He's told Dan Shaughnessy of the Globe, I'd love to see one more. There's a lot of things are working right now. You know, 95 years old, physically for him, but he said, but this would be a great emotional lift, and I'm sure a physical lift for him as well.
One of the all-time greats, for sure, and living out in Worcester still.
Yeah.
And Bob, you're watching, we love you, and I hope you're enjoying this. But somebody up in a light post. We don't condone that, people. But you have to expect.
He'll have somebody waiting for him at the bottom,
yes,
perhaps with a ride.
Yes. I know you want to improve the vantage point, but boy, be very, very careful out there. But this has been a terrific day so far for the Rolling Rally. The players soaking it all in, the fans loving it, enjoying it. Nothing but joy and happiness, and any time you can embrace that and share it, it's what it's about. You want to enjoy moments like this and forget about all the other stuff going on in the world and in your life just for a few minutes and ride the wave. A friend of mine always talked about players in winning championships and doing things.
I can't hear you.
Luke Cornett. I'm trying to figure that out. What exactly he's doing.
What did you say?
That's our Joanna Boris having a difficult time there with the noise, being able to make out what we're talking about.
She's at Suffolk University, so to give you a sense of where we are on the parade route. They cleared City Hall.
But this friend of mine was saying that he appreciates athletes who, while it's happening, enjoy the ride. They interact with fans. They do good things in community. They understand how lucky they are and how blessed they are, and then they share that. You know, this doesn't happen with every athlete, and it's okay. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just that in the moment, it's tough to embrace what's going on. But just enjoy the ride. And so far, they're enjoying the ride on the duck boats, the Celtics players.
We were talking about some of the things that looked like some waters were being thrown to the players who might be out there. Waters are maybe something else. You're seeing the crowd now as the boats continue to move along. And
down by the common there, it looks like.
Yep.
Make that turn onto Boylston Street here, these particular boats anyway. But hey, also a credit to the police officer and security. They're walking the parade route alongside each one of the duck boats, multiple security personnel, I'm sure it's Boston Police and others. So they're earning their stripes today because it's hot out there, and that's a long walk.
81 degrees. Now, earlier in the week, I think we were at about 97 in Boston, so I think we got to cut a break here. You see how they go down certain streets off the parade route, and they're still 30, 40, 50 deep. Some of the crowd here, it starts to move along once the duck boats have passed and clearly moved on. But EMS over there, just in case if people need some help. Apparently, some folks felt a little bit lightheaded out there today, and
in Boston
need
EMS
some water, and they're there to help make sure that this goes smoothly and safely.
I'll say this from this morning in our zip trip in Reading, it was hot and it was humid. Humidity is a factor there today, but you may get a little bit of breeze as you're closer to the city and closer to the ocean. But those folks who are feeling lightheaded, hopefully you just get some water and get your feet back under you. But I don't think anybody down there today is complaining about the heat, the humidity, or anything. They're just happy to be part of another remarkable day in the city of Boston.
We are still waiting for them to come into Copley Place and Copley Plaza down there on Boylston, so we'll be interested to see when they get there, because that is typically one of the biggest areas where the crowd can gather along the plaza down there. And
it's like they're making that turn now onto Boylston.
The public library as well.
And again, that's the duck boat with Steve Peliuk in the green shirt. Jaylen Brown is on there. That is the MVP trophy, the Bill Russell trophy. So this is where they're heading, down towards Copley Square, and they'll be there momentarily. Those folks have been camped out there all morning waiting and hoping to get a glimpse of their championship Celtic teams, and a little champagne spray there too.
You were talking about earlier the Celtics ownership and how they don't own the building and things like that, but Wyc Grousbeck's involvement in this team with the move for moving Marcus Smart, Drew Holiday, and also Porzingis, he had said, we've got to go out and get these people, we're going to spend the money. And you look around at different ownerships in the city, and it's not always the case. And it's one thing that the Celtics said, we're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to do the best we can and see what happens.
I'd like to point out too, Ak, if I may, that earlier this year, I think it was October, prior to the Celtics season starting, Wyc Grousbeck came in and was a guest on the Boston 25 Morning News and talked about, anything else can happen. He said, something's percolating, and that was before the Drew Holiday trade. Yeah. But I think it needs to be shared with the Celtics organization that if you want to start your year off right and wind up with a championship, well, you've really got to appear in the Boston 25 Morning News. It is the springboard to unprecedented levels of success.
Unquestionable. Well, we saw the law enforcement there.
And by the way, if I could say,
stopping for a moment because they heard Gene was talking about this, so he wants to continue his thought.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I know you agree with me wholeheartedly on this. You talk about Wyc Grousbeck. So here's a guy who's been tremendously successful and has no worries in life in terms of a financial situation. Owns the Boston Celtics, has won championships. As regular a guy as you're going to meet for a guy of his standing. And he'll talk to you, he'll chat with people. He's just a really good guy and pretty regular. And you don't see that a lot with guys who are in that position. This is City Hall Plaza. We've talked about some folks dealing with heat issues. We're not sure if that's the case right now, but you've got EMS down there just in case, and I'm sure they are taking a look at some folks who may be feeling a little woozy from the heat. And I'm not sure if that...
Well, you're standing shoulder to shoulder with people as well. As you said, it's
hot.
very humid and 30, 40, 50 people deep, and now we start moving along on the parade route once again. The confetti, we're told, is being blown out consistently along the route. So if you go into town, perhaps this weekend, you'll have to rush in, because I'm sure there's some green and white paper flying around down there if you'd like to grab a little for yourself.
Our Ray Vieta has been, he's been very patient, waiting for this thing to head his way. It's finally on the way, Ray. So your patience is about to be rewarded with an up-close look at the championship Celtics.
And the reason I know is because I'm starting to feel the confetti flying over us. I'm seeing it right now. We're also seeing Boston, or actually Lowell police right there on the parade route. Something interesting I wanted to point out to you. Look at the fans up there too. They are standing at every point that they can to get their best viewpoint. Not just that, they're also right behind the camera, which we can't show, on top of the bus and train stop at Copley right here. So I did want to point out too, Gene, you had mentioned some people had been taken away because of dehydration or heat or something. We did see a few people taken away on stretchers. Right now, you hear that? It's like an eerie calmness. That's because there we go. We're starting to see BPD officers. We see the flashing lights in the distance. Also Lowell police escorting Boston police. And then we're seeing the confetti fly. Look at all of the green and white confetti flying in the air right now. And you can hear everyone kind of just all of a sudden start to get quiet as that parade approaches. Here, take a look right here. The Dominican flags we were talking about. We're seeing them all around the parade route as well. A lot of people feeling a lot of pride for Al Horford, who we're expecting to see coming through right here. Again, more BPD officers. The first float seems to be approaching right behind there. And there we go, the confetti flying from that first float. I'm going to get out of the way so you can get a better viewpoint. And you can see that confetti flying. Also, there's a construction site right across the street from the library. People have actually managed to climb over that fence and are actually looking from the other side of the fence, from the construction site to the parade route. And you can see right there the Dominican Republic flag flying in the air of the first float as confetti fills the air around it. And it's oddly kind of quiet. The fact that I can still talk to you and still hear myself is weird, but I'm guessing that's about to change right about now as that first float approaches the Boston Public Library here at Copley Square. As Butch said, this is one of those moments I'm always going to remember. Where was I for this parade for Banner 18? I was at Copley Square as the confetti flew outside of the Boston Public Library. How much more historic can you get than that? There we go. Look at that. There's the first float.
Answer Celtics cheerleaders. Ray with a front row seat right down there at Copley Square.
Yes.
As the parade moves along.
The cheerleaders right there. There we go. The parade is moving now, and we're starting to see more of the floats. And
well, the players are coming next.
All these phones. Yep, the players are coming next, and a lot of people have their phones out, making sure to capture this moment just like we're capturing it right now.
Coming up at almost noon in Boston on a Friday, a gorgeous day to celebrate the 2024 champions. I'm Mark Ockerblum along with Gene Levanchi. Ray Vieta is down in Copley Square as the duck boats make their way through the city of Boston today.
The first one we're seeing right now. And we can see the cowboy hats, I believe, on one of the first floats. One of the first duck boats headed our way right now. You know, it's interesting. I'm thinking about how during Joanna's shot, I couldn't hear her at all. And now, oh, well, there we go. That's Missoula right there in the first float headed our way. The head coach waving to his fans in his cowboy hat. And I remember Butch telling me, I believe, Al Horford also there.
Let's get live images. That's Al Horford, of course. Waited a long time to win his first NBA championship. 17 seasons of work, but now a world champion.
This is the stretch of the rolling rally, which I think is it's the longest straight stretch coming down from the Common all the way down through Copley Square, and then the Heinz, it ends right after this. So it's just one of the best spots to watch. You talk about Copley Square. I know you've been down there before. I've been down for a couple of them. And that's really where the crowd gathers, where you get a really good contingent of people. It's a spot where I remember Patriots parade, it's just stopped there. Yeah. And the fans waved, the players interacted, and it's a great spot to take this all in.
I think that is when you have all the architecture around there and everything else, and you put this right in the front of the picture. So many people have images of these that they take for their own personal catalogs of pictures from the day at the parade, but also that they post online. It's amazing how many things. You didn't have this back in the day, Gene. Remember back in our day?
No, we had those maybe.
It's a turnaround in your phones.
You would have those
Didn't have
cameras,
phones.
the thin cameras with the cube flash on them. You remember those
Yes.
that you had to put in?
Yeah.
I know we're dating ourselves here. And then you have to drop them off at the photo mat.
Right.
And 3, 4, 5 days later, hopefully the pictures came out, and you'll find out when you pick them up.
And you got doubles because it was just cheaper somehow.
So they told you. Oh, man. But the parade's been going on great, and it's working its way to Copley Square, and fans are just delighted in all of this to soak it in. And it's something we've got down to a science here in the Boston area. As I said earlier this morning on the Zip Trick, there are 3 guarantees in life, 3 truths. The sun will rise, the sun will set, and there'll be a championship parade in Boston.
There you go, the 08 team. Brian Scalabrine right there. He handled some pre-game stuff at the Garden today, having a little interview session we brought to you, as he's heard from the players before they got on those duck boats.
They got the 08 trophy there.
Yeah. Now, Paul Pierce is there as well, and I believe he has the cigar in his mouth right now. He was holding the trophy earlier, so he's Scal, take this for a second.
Yeah, right. I'm kind of
An hour back cigar right now.
You hold up that trophy for the whole ride, like Scal's doing. Your arm's going to give out there, rotator cuff surgery or something. And there's, I see Pierce at the backside of that particular boat, and he's got his cigar going, as you said.
Nothing like it. Never gets old. Seeing the duck boats, that's the above view of the 2008 duck boat. And they brought that championship home. And, well, I'll tell you what, that was a day much like today. Sunny, beautiful day to go to the parade.
It was gorgeous. Let's check back in with Ray. He's right down there, knee deep in it, as the duck boats are going by his position in Copley.
Hey, Gene, so take a look right now. Here are the folks I was talking to you about. They have gotten on top of the T bus stop. We also see police over there watching some people who have got on top of the T stop, the train stop, as we're seeing our last duck boat go by. And someone walking in front of the camera. But you can see the duck boats going just past us right now. And the last of the confetti flying in the air as they pass the Boston Public Library. And you can see folks have gotten a vantage point on top of the bus stop and also on some of the rooftops on the buildings here on Boylston. You can see right over there, there are people standing on top of the, waving from the windows as well. People are getting their viewpoint both on the ground, above the ground, and up above this as well. So as we take a look right now, everything is starting to quiet down now that they have passed by us. I'm also noticing some. Is there a fight breaking out over here? Looks like there's a fight breaking out over on my side. But anyway, we're going to keep it positive and focus on the happy people over there on this side. And here is another pickup truck coming by. I think it's just camera crews coming up, passing us here by the Boston Public Library. It looks like that. Yeah, I'm going to send it back to you guys.
Ray, congratulations. You've experienced Copley Plaza during a parade in Boston.
Right. But a notch on the belt.
Has won
There you
the
go.
championship.
Right. And if you happen to be, you talk about going into the city this week or this weekend, if you're doing that and you don't manage to get your hands on at least one piece of confetti, you're not looking hard enough. It's all over the place. They get those confetti guns firing left and right. And the people probably are picking up some shreds of that for their own souvenirs. It is a really good look from the Hines down Boylston Street with those duck boats and the flatbeds coming right at you. And again, the aerial shot here from above, that looks like Jason Tatum.
They're packed in pretty good there.
Yeah, they sure are.
Not a lot of room to run, but that's okay. You're with friends and family, I'm sure.
You talk about
a trophy.
I don't know if it's Forbes magazine, but somebody does these sort of scientific studies on best sports city in America.
Right.
And Boston is always at the top. Should be at the top, and this is part of the reason.
Look at
that. We win all the time. Other cities hate us because we win all the time. We do these parades. We know how it's done. The fans are supportive of all of their teams through and through. They're passionate about what's going on. It's just a lucky place if you're a sports fan to grow up, to live, and to take this all in. We've been so spoiled. It's ridiculous. Yeah, part of the tradition is calling your friends in other parts of the country and rubbing it in.
Tell you what, there's Jason Tatum. Look at him. He's soaking it in. Oh, with the sun today, that trophy. How hot do you think that trophy gets out in 81 degree weather? What do you think? It's got to be
pretty hot because the sun is beating down on us, so pretty hot. I can tell you, standing up on this riser, seeing the crowds, it is really hot, and there is the trophy right there. And the crowd goes wild for the trophy right there. I think that's the loudest the crowds have gotten. And for good reason. Jason Tatum carrying that trophy right there.
You know, I'm reminded of Brady when I see these.
Yeah.
You know, Jason Tatum was in the Brady position. He'd be in the back, propped up high.
Got his son Deuce there with him, so he's been everywhere. He's always at his side. Saw him after the games, saw him on the floor.
Yep.
And now he's on a duck boat. He's going to be like, Dad, what is this?
He said something effective, Dad, you're the best in the world. And
Yeah.
he said, damn, I am.
Yeah. And again, as we talked about this, Tatum and Drew Holiday, I believe, will be not much time to relax because they're going to try to, after winning the NBA championship, they're going to go for a gold medal in Paris.
Yep. And then you have to talk about a new deal for Tatum.
Yep.
Looks like Holiday will stay, you think?
And crossing the
everyone
finish
else.
line there of the Boston Marathon on Boylston Street.
And the times they would stop here as well.
Yeah, we saw that. Remember the Red Sox in 13. They stopped there with the World Series trophy. And Johnny Gomes getting out and
Draping his jersey over the trophy.
Yeah,
So
617 strong. That was one of the most memorable parades and celebrations we've had in the city. Joe Mazzulla.
That's
Wants the
interesting.
crowd get up, make some noise, people.
Remember the Red Sox too with Jake Peavy. He actually bought one of these duck boats for 72 grand.
Yeah, that's right.
Got it at his house. How cool is that?
I hope he lives near a river or something because you want
I
to
think he does.
take part of the make sure you have the
Let's take
amphibious
it out for a
portion of that
spin
taken
or
care of.
for a boat ride. Could do either or. There you go.
Yeah, that's
Copley again.
That's a heck of a souvenir to buy yourself a duck boat. That's a baller move, as a kid would say.
Derek White going by in Copley right now as well. Derek White playing through the pain. Coming out with a chipped tooth, boy.
And a steal.
stuff.
They got him for a steal. What a great move that was, bringing him in here.
And Al
The impact
Horford
he's had.
just having a great day. There's White again.
And that tooth was fixed.
It was in short order.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a Bruin.
I love his
Some of the
shirt.
Stanley Cup champs who have missing chiclets.
Did that shirt say nobody cares that he's wearing? Interesting.
Oh, that's not the case today. Everyone cares.
Al Horford again. He's really soaking this in. Appreciative of everything. Of everything. When you're a young player, to maybe get to a finals and you figure, well, this is going to happen every year. But he knows that's not the case. He's 30, just turned 38 earlier this month. And
Sam Hauser. Look at that. Now, Sam Hauser started his college career at Marquette, transferred after 2 years to Virginia, lands with the Celtics, and for three-point marksman on the team, he's up there with Pritchard. A great one-two punch.
He
He's
shot
got
the
some
ball.
bigger size, so he got a little more playing time.
Shot the ball really well, and you were looking for someone to pull a Gronk. There it is. I don't know if you had Sam Hauser in the pool,
Right.
but if you did, you are a winner.
Hey, they contributed big in certain games, getting you right
They
back
sure
in
did.
it. You
Sure
gotta
did.
down a double-digit deficit, pull those guys in and see what happens.
And the knock on the Celtics was, well, they don't have the depth, but Hauser certainly helped dispel that, what is now a myth. He played really well coming off the bench, provided
Pritchard
them with a
played
spark.
really well.
He was a weapon when they needed it.
And Tillman late in the season.
Yeah, he did. He
Came in
sure
and
did.
gave him some
Yeah.
minutes too.
Yep. A wave of noise making its way down Boylston Street as the duck boats make their way to the Heinz Convention Center for a day the players and the fans are never going to forget. And hey, we're used to this in Boston. Hopefully these players can get used to it too. There's a chance of JT for Jason Tatum go up in the crowd. Let's make this an annual thing. This team is deep enough.
Yeah.
They're young enough. They get along. I think they can keep them together. And we could very well be seeing more of these Celtics championship parades in the years to come. The odds already came out. They are the odds-on favorites to
They are
repeat
indeed.
as champs again next year.
Here's the deal. I think what you do is you just get a calendar right now. Write 6/17 day off in June. June
Yeah.
17th, because it's more than likely your team will be playing in the final and perhaps winning it. In 2 cases already, they've won it that day. Porzingis got surgery after this.
Yep.
Probably give himself a little time to, who knows, depends. They said it's about 2 months before he'll be back. Before
Yeah,
you know, we'll be back doing, media day at the Celtics, getting ready for the next season
Hopefully
in September.
and I don't think you'd rush him back because you need him for the full season. So you want to get that surgery, make sure he's healthy and ready to go for the long haul. And it's interesting, this team was so deep and he was such a key player that they were able to win the NBA Finals pretty much without him and throughout the playoffs because he went out early and they swept the Pacers. And here they are now taking out the Dallas Mavericks in 5, and he was not really available for that. But it just shows you how deep this team was and how well they were playing then. A player of his caliber would help anybody, but they still managed to roll to the title without him.
Gene, earlier we heard some Guns N' Roses. I'm like, we're missing something. We're missing something. What are we missing?
Little Dropkick Murphys.
There you go. Well, you mentioned the drop kick, so I'll drop a quick story. We were in Vancouver covering the Bruins when they won. And who pulls up in a limousine, puts down the window and says, "You on TV?" Sure enough. Ken Casey jumped out, got a great picture with him. But he was there. He wasn't going, "I'm not missing this for the world. I'll drive to Vancouver, fly to Vancouver, whatever I got to do." And that was another one. That was a great time.
Yeah, Luke Cornett is having himself a nice day. People are throwing him beers up there or something. He's saying, "No, I'm good."
I think it was warm. He didn't like it.
Yeah. Stay hydrated, but with the water, not the beer. That's the best way to do it.
Leon Poe. There you go, for the 08 team right there. Brush off a little dust off those and bring them out. Kind of like old Ironsides, take them out for a spin, bring it back in again. We'll see you next year.
What a thrill this is. And I don't know any other city that has a championship parade. If they've rolled out I'm not aware of it. I don't even know if they have the duck boats or have enough to do one. But we've kind of set the standard here in Boston for how these things are supposed to be done. You want it to be exciting for the fans. You want it to be unique. You want it to be memorable.
Right.
And the duck boats certainly help do that because it immediately someone says, "Fire up the duck boats," and we all around here know what that means. Other parts of the country are like, what are you talking about?
Well, it's interesting you should say that. Great piece in today's Globe that I read that the duck boats were in 1942, World War II, stormed the beach of Normandy. Mm-hmm. The duck boats were used for that. Then, of course, they moved along with different people. There are apparently in Tennessee and Wisconsin, I can't remember the third area, where they do duck boat type things, but nothing to this.
Well, copycat,
clearly.
Of course. Duck boats. This was the original duck boat.
They just jumped in afterwards.
We talked to the president of Duck Boat, Cindy Brown, who's just been remarkable, and the work they have to do to get these things ready. They have the regular tourist duck boat event yesterday. Anybody was out and got on a duck boat where there's great drivers and all the history and the tours that they give. They had to get those boats then in after the end of business and then get them prepped and retrofitted and take off the roof so the Celtics players who are all 6'8" and above or whatever it is, that they could stand in there comfortably without having to squat down, and so that the fans could see them and get it all lined up, get them all gassed up, make sure everybody get on the right boat. It's really a logistical challenge, but they've got it down to a science.
Let's go back out to Copley Square now. Ray Vieta had a bird's eye view for the parade as it came by. Ray, your thoughts?
I gotta say, this is a pretty incredible experience to see how much these players affect all of these people. I mean, it was electric as far as the energy that you could feel when those players went by on the duck boats. And I gotta add to what Gene was saying too, this is so uniquely Boston, having lived all over the country, to see the duck boats in this parade, each of them carrying different players and their families. You never see anything like that. And I've been to New York, lived in New York City, I've seen the ticker tape parade, nothing like this. It has nothing on Boston and its fans. The way the crowd started cheering, the way when those players started coming by, you could feel it. It was pulsating. We're on risers, and I swear the risers were bouncing with all of that emotion. But now we're starting to see everyone just as quickly as they came. They are slowly starting to leave very quickly right now as well. Yeah, it's instantly quiet now, and I can actually hear myself.
A little different
experience.
Ray, a little different from the Larry Bird era Celtics. People were throwing some beers up there and stuff, but I saw
beer thrown.
Well, they were tossing them with the fans.
And a little champagne.
I saw some high noons.
Yeah.
That's a new thing.
I did not see that.
Oh, I did.
Truly, you must be joking.
Yeah, I'll take a high noon.
Truly, you must be joking. I caught that one, Hawk. That's a good one.
It's a subtle
and now we're seeing the buses right here. I'm not. Now, do you know why there are these buses here? That's pretty interesting.
Not really sure why, because they went up to the Heinz Auditorium, and then the thought was after that we're going to get right back to the Garden.
The only thing I can imagine is that there might be transportation back to the Garden for some people. I don't know. But if the duck boats are going back there, you figure that would take care of it.
No fanfare for them.
Yeah.
Just take a look at these crowds, though. Take a look at what I'm talking about. Everyone's pretty much turning around and leaving in a mass wave almost, quickly funneling out here on, I believe this is Arlington I'm seeing on? Yeah,
Probably
Arlington.
looking for some shade, Ray. I mean, how was the weather today for you?
I got to tell you, it was not as bad as these last 3 days. We got every time there was a cloud cover, we felt a little bit of a breeze. Of course, we're right in the back bay, so we felt a little slight breeze, and we're all like, finally, because the sun is beating down on us right now. But compared to these last 3 days, I'll take this over any of those last 3 days. But yeah, we're starting to see the crowds empty out here. The confetti now on the ground, all the signs that this parade is coming to an end here in Copley Square.
Yeah, and they actually moved along pretty quick. They did start just after...
I was impressed at how quickly.
Yeah, they started after 11 o'clock this morning and made their way through the whole parade route, just over an hour, it seems. And that's pretty good. And they had the speaking engagement and stuff where they had some clients, and Celtics clients were in there, and the players were able to talk. Brian Scalabrine did some interviewing and just asked some questions about the season. And no public address here for the fans. They won't be going to Copley, the City Hall Plaza like we've seen in years past. And we've seen the Patriots go down there and address the crowd. So that will not be part of it this year.
It is amazing to see our different vantage points along the route, just as it is every year. Banged out, a lot of people, 30, 40, 50, 60 deep, depending on where you were along the parade route. We were down in Suffolk University, Causeway Street, Copley Square, covered it stem to stern. And in some areas you could see no one is left.
Yeah, crowd dispersing pretty quickly. But just to take a second here, too, to thank our crews that have been out there. For the Boston 25 Morning News have been out there all morning, and they've done a great job. Our reporters and also our photographers, whole crews out there, making all of this possible so we could bring it to you at home. So our thanks to them for their effort today, and hopefully they got to enjoy themselves a little bit as well.
And you guys pulling a double here. I mean, you had your first zip trip of the year up in Reading this morning, and then you're coming over here for double duty to help with our analysis of another parade.
Chance to sit next to Mark Arkerbloom and talk Celtics history. Who wouldn't jump at that opportunity?
Come on, right back at you. Couple of old sports guys, right?
There you go.
It's a newsworthy event, Gene.
Absolutely.
That's what we always say.
Yes.
That's why we have to go to these when we can.
That's it. And
cover it for you.
13th championship parade in the city of Boston since the start of the new century. And it just keeps, and maybe no end in sight. Who will be the next to do this? I think the Celtics could be right back here again next year, and it's no exaggeration. They've got the team, they've got the depth. They're going to be able to what they're paying in tax and all the other stuff for being over the cap. It's just remarkable what they're willing to do, the ownership, to keep this team strong, to keep it together, to keep it championship quality. And as you mentioned, the odds makers, the people who look at this stuff, like the Celtics already to be champions next year. They're the favorites to repeat come next season.
Saw earlier what appears to be the final duck boat coming through. Still a few more further down the road here, which is where we are right here. But last shot, you can see people falling in behind. It's like, there goes the duck boat, so let's all go with them.
Yeah,
let's see where it takes us.
Yeah. And you ask people, okay, so you were down there and you watched it and it went by quick. Was it worth it? And the answer 100 times out of 100 is yes. Absolutely worth it. Talked about fans being priced out of the Garden a lot of times. Tickets are very expensive. They don't get the opportunity to see the players. They can watch them on TV. Tough to get into a game. So this is really the opportunity that a lot of folks have to get out and see the guys up close. And obviously to thank them for just a remarkable season and bringing another title to Boston.
It really is a two-way street when you're out there, as you mentioned. You'll see them, reaching their hands towards the crowd just to let them know that we care about you, that we're so excited to have you here with us celebrating this. And the turnout, they know all these people had to make the sacrifice to get in, maybe take off from work or school in some cases, and to come down and be a part of this. And this is their way to say thanks. And I'm sure it's not lost on the players. I'm sure older players have said to them, look, guys, this is an amazing moment you're about to experience in your life you'll never forget.
Right.
Give it back to those who helped bring you here.
And take it in, because you don't know if you're going to be back here again. You don't know what's going to happen. obviously there will be changes on the team. Some of the guys who are there this year won't be there next year. The superstars, the core players remain intact. And we've already seen some changes in the coaching staff too. So things will change a little bit, but I think the core will remain, and that makes this team one that's going to be a championship caliber, not only next year, but probably we're looking at, I think, at a good 3 to 5 year run here possibly.
Yeah, certainly, and health plays a big part in that. It
Absolutely.
can't be overstated as far as the Celtics team, with the exception of Porzingis. You really didn't have anything you had to worry about. You remember last year, Tatum hurt the ankle, and they just couldn't get the job done. But you know,
and you do worry.
You need that in any sport,
yeah.
right?
And you do worry about those guys who are playing for the Olympic team.
Yeah.
They're just going from this to that, and then hopefully they'll get a time to decompress, because before they know it, they'll be starting right back up with a new season with the Celtics.
Length of the season, just even to this point, is far more than most players in the league. So you have to keep that in mind, as you say. They're getting rested and mending faster than they will.
That's the other
an
thing too.
Energy drink, or is that a phone? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that might have been a Red Bull there. I don't know. But the thing that's the next thing to talk about that these guys will be talking about, and maybe the discussion's already started, which all of us can only dream about, is all right, what's the ring going to look like? What's the design going to be? How big will those things be? How many diamonds? And how many are they going to make? The Celtics are a very generous organization, so you would think that everybody from the front office down to any aspect of the organization, along with the players, there are going to be plenty of rings being handed out. I mean, the players and coaching staff might have one design, which is, the creme de la creme, the top of the line. But everybody, I think, in the organization will get something. That's just how these guys operate.
Think about that, 18 championships, and if you put 18 diamonds, what's that look like? I don't care what size. I mean,
they'll go right to the someone will design it.
Who knows, right? I mean,
and those Patriots rings, they look like mini condominiums on your finger. They're so huge.
I had a chance to interview a coach one time. It was with the Dallas Cowboys, and he had his rings, and he goes, "Want to put them on?" And I did. And it's just 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know how they wear even one of them. They keep them on, massive pieces of jewelry, but
yeah,
it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You give you plenty of time.
You actually wear those things out,
Yeah,
that's the question. I'm going to go to dinner. Oh, let me put on my championship ring.
Put the ring on.
That certainly would help you get a good table.
Then they say it's on the house. It's our pleasure.
Oh, I remember we talked to Joe Gibbs one time, and he said, it does help at restaurants, because you kind of bring your hand up to your chin with the championship ring and say, well, let me see, do you have it? And like, well, yes, we have a table for you right over here, sir.
Sorry, I have to put my sunglasses on.
Right. What a turnout, though, today in the city of Boston. And we talked about the heat. There are some folks who are struggling a little bit with the heat. We heard about some lightheadedness. You heard Ray talk about some folks on a stretcher down there at Copley Plaza. So we're thinking it's probably heat-related. That's the report from Boston EMS. It was mostly lightheadedness from that. But we'll see as we get reports later on as to what's happening. Also, well-behaved crowd here today, to the best of our knowledge. Haven't heard anything about any arrests. Certainly haven't heard anything about anybody getting out of control or fights or anything of that nature at this point. So that's great. Again, City of Boston, been there, done that. No need for any of it.
Looking at the final boats coming through here. And, the duck boats will be returned to their normal positioning as far as how they put the chairs back in, the benches back in, and get things going. But they actually donate this service to the city of Boston to use their boats.
Yep.
They don't make any money today. They don't have any tours because they're solely focused on this effort. Over there last night, Lisa Pappas was talking with the mechanics hard at work. 25 guys, gals just working at it down there and making sure that they're prepared to go out and do this for the city of Boston. Anybody comes to visit over the coming years, and hey, it's a great advertising tool.
Absolutely. No,
for the business. Don't get me wrong.
Great marketing.
But my daughter just had a friend in from town, from Nashville, Tennessee. First thing I want to do, I want to go on the duck boat tour. Then I want to go over Fenway. I want to take that tour. And, I mean, it kind of builds along that.
So as we start to wind down here with this championship parade, what's your takeaway, not only from today, but I guess from this entire Celtics run?
I think what you said, enjoy it. We have so many of them, but each one is individual in its own right? And I think seeing Al Horford kept coming back to me. I mean, Jason Tatum with the trophy is a big one, but Al Horford, for a guy who went 186 games, games.
Postseason games, right?
Postseason. This was a major deal for him to win and be there, and I think he didn't go to Miami. He stayed in Boston. He honored some commitments that he had, and he was out with the fans yesterday. I was amazed at the amount of people that were out there, and then again today. So I think he stands out along with Joe Mazzulla because I think he caught a lot of flack early on, a lot of doubters, and he silenced.
I just hope, and it seemed he appeared to do this by bringing the trophy to the North End and restaurant. I would like to see Joe Mazzulla bring his guard down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, he's won it now. He's the championship.
Totally.
You get nothing to prove. You could be yourself a little bit, be okay, and relax with the media. Now, hopefully, that'll be the chance. Because I have heard him on some of his radio interviews that he does, and he's charming and he's funny.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him maybe bring that out a little bit more in just his regular media appearances and just in public in general. But he's done the job. He's won the ring, and his legacy is starting to take shape here.
Certainly. You get dancing in the streets down there. There's the Dominican flag again. Al Horford, the first Dominican to ever be on an NBA championship squad. So that is something to look at today when you're out in Boston. You know, I saw the green, but you saw the red, white, and blue as well.
So as you know, we'll have a lot of coverage on our social media pages, on individuals on Twitter, Boston25news.com. Anywhere you normally get our social media stuff, it'll be packed today. And of course, a complete recap of everything we experienced coming up in the Boston 25 News at 5 o'clock later today. Another banner day in the city of Boston as we celebrate yet another championship, a 13th championship parade since 2002. And it never gets old.
You going to join us for 5 and 6 tonight?
I think I'll pass on that, but I appreciate the invite. It's really nice.
Great job on the morning show.
I appreciate you spending some time with you.
Having you alongside. This was a lot of fun. Let's do it again next year.
Let's do it. I'll write, like you said, get your date book out, put it in there, put it in your phone, and lock it in.
61725. Be very easy.
Awesome.
Right,
Great to see you, Ock.
You too.
Congratulations, Boston Celtics, your 2024 NBA champions. A day to remember in the city of Boston.
Sorry, no, you're good. Who's calling us?
You're going by the motorcycle. You're going by the motorcycle. Thank you.
Sidewalk. Sidewalk.
Alright, I'm staying with you. That guy appreciated it.
That guy was nice.
Yeah, did they push you? Yep. Yeah. That's saying right here. You want to get with?
This was a life-changing parade.
Talk about being on the Ducks, the crowd. Is it surreal? What
I
is
remember 2008. This is like twice as big, I swear. And I love 2008. People were asking me last night, are you excited or what? I said, I'm excited about 2008 stuff. Now we got 24 to celebrate, and thanks to everybody for coming out.
You said today was different than 2008. What was it about the crowds and everything?
No, there's just something special. This is a great city. We're the city of champions. We add another banner to the count. I love it.
And when you were on the duck boat, can you just take us through what is? I mean, the crowds were just, deafening along.
It was deafening. You make that turn on the causeway, and you expect to have 10 deep, and it's 100 deep, and it goes from there.
And are you on cloud 9 or what cloud are you on right
I'm
now?
on cloud 18.
Cloud 18.
Wick, how much fun was that from start to finish?
Start to finish. Well, it feels like we got more to do. I mean, I got to go design a ring with the guys, and we got to raise a banner in October. There's more to do, but we're going to build the team for next year. We're going to enjoy this for now, though.
Players have talked in the past about when you come out and make that turn onto Causeway, that's when it hits. You win a championship.
Really
You've
is.
done it twice now. What's that second feeling like?
The second bill, somehow it's even sweeter. I don't know how it could possibly be. I love 08, I love 24, I love these guys so much. This is a lifelong bond.
When you looked, were you amazed at the amount of people?
I filmed it for like 10 straight minutes. Finally put the camera away because, I can remember it. It was just spectacular. Thanks to everybody.
And what would you like to say to the fans out there?
Well, I want to say we're fans who bought this team. We're all in this together. Let's go get another one.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
What's that guy's name? Trail 7, do you know? Thank you. No, it should be coming soon. All of the cars are inside here, so they have to get in that way.
Oh, gotcha.
If we want to meander down there, we can, or wait until they pull up. One of the two. Wherever you want to go. I just don't want you to get pushed again.
Yeah, no, that was fun.
Yeah. And I'm tired of that guy. Stay away here.
Something on the roof. Eric, you got shit on the roof. You got shit on the roof. Thanks for your help. Dave, after these two, we'll stagger them so they can both they all get off at the same time. Take these and stagger them.
They come simultaneously now, so slow down.
Hey, Derek.
That was fun. That was fun. Nope. Pushed again.
Pushed again.
First two guys who walked off toasted. No. Derek, about to.
Coming up from behind you. Okay, thank you. Move back,
Yeah. He's the only one that truly has access, so if we can pop in here. Yeah.
Hey, Sam.
An hour and a half already. You must be pounding.
I know, right? Sounds like it's feeling like we'll never stop.
Yeah, that's all.
drive down to Portland, so right next to How much fun was that?
It was awesome. They wrote from the TV.
Hey, they said that's it.
Well, Scott, no, these guys.
Pleasure working with you.
No, Grace on this?
Is he already going there?